DarkZero and M80 fighting to stave off elimination. Whoever loses this game will need to win 3 in a row to stay alive. M80 should be raising trophies, but they failed to make main stage at Copenhagen. This is Iconic's hometown. Failure is not an option here, but DarkZero will do everything in their power to stop them today, fighting tooth and nail. The pressure rising for both these teams. Ooh, the pressure is on, Jesse and Laxing. Can you feel it, Jesse? You're just grinning at me.
It's the All-American. How can I not be grinning? We got 2 NA teams head-to-head, neither of them having great days yesterday. They're going to be looking for some redemption, obviously, for both of these squads. They also didn't really have the greatest first stage major either. So a lot of them have lots to prove here on the line, and it should be a great game.
Sorry. I was gonna say, I was talking to both these teams about kind of like what they're feeling, and it kind of reminds you of that SpongeBob meme with the guys like, oh brother, just that moment. Because these guys are so familiar with playing each other, and then to meet, there's nothing, like, I'll say this from personal experience, there's nothing worse than meeting an NA team early on after you've already been playing them the entire season. So I feel for these guys.
Yeah, actually, speaking about them playing each other, M80 has defeated DZ the last 3 times that they've played. So I was chatting with you earlier. Do they just have their number? What do you think?
I'm gonna be honest. There's sometimes there's rivalries in any league, and sometimes your how you play just counters how that other team plays. It's not to say that that team can't win or turn it on its head, but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. You just play better than the other team.
I will also say, though, the last time these 2 teams did play each other was at the very start of Stage 2. It's been a while since these 2 squads went up against one another.
How did that game go?
It went horrible for DarkZero. It was real bad, but I do think DZ have improved a lot since that moment.
Sure.
That was the very first play day of Stage number 2. DarkZero were not playing like themselves. I'm expecting the matchup that we initially wanted back on that first play day to really come to fruition today.
Okay, Jesse, I do kind of want to see a comparison here. We're hearing a lot about Kino and Rice.
Yeah.
Both receiving some criticism online. You kind of wanted to do a deep dive on these 2 characters. I was going to say, that works, right? Yeah.
Listen, I mean, obviously, players have bad tournaments, they have bad games, and we've seen a lot of stuff coming through from both Kino and Rice. You know, Rice, the brand new guy coming through from DarkZero, he's had a tough time. The roles they put on him have not been big fragging roles. He's not been put into a position where he's really supposed to be popping off and getting the greatest of numbers. Through a lot of Stage 2, he played the Dokkaebi, right? As a very tough operator, the DMR, not everybody's favorite gun. Didn't really find the greatest success with it. Throughout this tournament, DZ have shifted gears a little bit. They've been banning Dokkaebi every single map coming through for Atlanta, except for one so far. So they're trying to move him, I think, a little bit off of that operator, flex him around a little bit more. On the side of DZ for Kino, we know him to be a great player. We've seen him at LAN before. We've seen him through the North American League. Yeah, maybe the Monty plays weren't the greatest. Yeah, maybe there were some rough moments yesterday, but he can bounce back. And I fully believe that with enough pressure coming through, when things really get the toughest, we are going to see that pressure make diamonds.
And I'll say this to that, you talking to make those points where Rice is different from Kino in those positions of him coming into a pro league spot like Kino did with my roster back then, is Kino was allowed on a team that had a little more freedom in how he wanted to play, and he could be a little more loose in what he wanted to do. A team like DZ and Rice going into, that's an intense environment. That is a very structured team that they don't like to get flaws. They don't like a wrench being thrown in their setup. So him being in that position is definitely a lot harder of a spot than what Kino was originally in. And I think Rice is slotting in. They're still just, like you were saying, trying to like move him around, see where he's going to fit the best, see what they can do with that, and that's what you got to do. It's all about trial and error.
I think if there's one thing I do want to see both players step up on a little bit, it has to be the opening engagements. Kino 0-5 yesterday in their match to start off the tournament on entry, really struggling in those early rounds. A lot of the times, again, on kind of operators like the Monty, where you're obviously not going to get an opening pick, but falling in really crucial moments. And then Rice as well, really not been so hot on the entry. 15 opening deaths, 2 opening picks through the major so far. That's a really rough ratio, and it's starting DZ off on the wrong foot in far too many rounds. I want to see that getting fixed from both these players. I believe they can both do it, but we got to see it today.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, I'm just giggling over here. M80's singing songs, they're just like shaking. Their attitude right now, they just seem like they're raring to go, but also a little cavalier. But anyway, we do have a very special report for you all, and Fresh showed this to Jesse and I, and all I can say is it's very, very serious. Fresh, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jackie. So we're over here at the screen now. In the pre-show this morning, we did the good, we did the bad, and we did the ugly. Now, M80, they came in under that ugly category. Now, they made 4, I think, key mistakes, individual mistakes yesterday, mistakes we're not used to seeing from M80 players. So I'm going to roll the very first one. Now, the first person who is having a big facepalm moment, that is going to be Mr. DS over here, because in the very first round, right towards the end, he's trying to cover the plant going down. And what does he do? He plays a little bit too scared. He allows Mentalist to make the play onto the planter, which you know you never do. Time is low. There's 2 people alive on the attack, 1 person alive on the defense. Mentalist has to make a play for the planter to win the round. What does DS do? He backs away ever so slightly. That allows Mentalist to make that play and win the round. So he's our very first player that has had a facepalm moment in this game. But it gets worse. It gets worse. Do you know why? Because Turdster, well, he's living his best life. He's prone under a window. And there's about to be 2 very disappointed people outside of that window because Turdster's been misdroned. What's happened? They've misdroned. They've booked past him. They've not seen his leg. The sled just coming in and started doing vertical. Turd pops up, gets a kill onto the Hibana, gets a kill onto the Dokkaebi, and leaves the diffuser cold outside. That's absolutely criminal. And M80 as a team, they're so much better than this. Third moment. Now, this is going to be Kino on the Monty, and I'm sorry, I know that he was defending his Monty plays, but we've got to go in on it. Kino wants to plant behind the bomb chassis here. Great plant spot, but when you do that, you need your Ace to be covering anybody that's inside of the kitchen. What's the Ace doing? Face palming. He's on his drone. He's not covering. Kino still takes that initiative to try and make that play. Makes 2 crucial mistakes over on the Monty. What did he do? He crouched and he de-shielded, and it allowed the Azami that was playing above him to just get an angle onto his head. Dropped the diffuser, called into sight. That was within 1 minute, by the way. And that's the diffuser. That's the round gone. And then we're going to talk about the very final play. This will be Kino on the Monty. Post-plan, 1 versus 1. Diffuser is down. And at this moment in time, Kino, he's a happy guy. Reaps, he's a sad guy. However, Kino plays this very badly, and I know there's a lot of discussion about where the Monty should go. In my opinion, Monty goes out the door, forces the castle with him, going outside, wait for the castle to try and bait Kino back, waste that time. What does Kino do instead? He goes down the stairs, makes a height differential. This is the key bit, is that as soon as he goes onto the stairs, there's a height differential. Reaps is always going to find the kill because he can jink dive around and have the height above him. Gets the kill onto Kino, and Reaps wins the round from there. Now, M80, quality team. Please stop making these individual mistakes. I'm going to throw it back to you on the desk, Jackie.
Fresh. Real talk there. The emotes. Lovely touch. Okay. Well, we're ready to move into the map bans, and that is going to be coming up on our screen right now. And all right, what are our thoughts?
Wow. So Consulate, we never saw Consulate in this stage, well, last stage for M80. So this is a huge surprise. DZ did recently play it. Well, not recently, but they played it against Sonics during the regular NAL stage. They lost, I believe it was 7-5 to Sonics. Yep. So M80 should have the map advantage here, knowing exactly what DarkZero does, unless they do scrim. They are the same region. They could have scrimmed each other a few times and know still what each other does, but let's go off on a whim here that they don't know. That's going to put DZ in a tough spot when M80 has already had their card multiple times playing against one another.
Curveball for sure from M80. 7 out of 9 bans throughout the NAL. They didn't really want to play this map back in regional play. Now against a regional opponent, they're looking to throw that curveball and get a win over DZ.
All right, well, we've heard them singing, we've heard them yelling, so these teams are ready to go. But I'm really excited because I've never tossed to Lynx and Stokes before. I was going to call them Stinks, but they weren't a fan of it. But Lynx and Stokes, take it away.
You know, I had this feeling when you and I started casting together that somebody was going to make that joke. Of course, it's got to be Jackie Jing. Hi, guys. How's it going? Stokes, Lynx. Buddy, what's up, man? We got DarkZero. It's our region. Our region, honestly, has been looking kind of...
You dude, let me tell you, you know what stinks? 3/4 of our teams being in the lower bracket and 2 of them playing each other. I think that stinks pretty badly. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you and I have the unfortunate duty of sending one of our teams, one of our beloveds, our staples, DarkZero and M80, one of these teams guaranteed to move down to the 0-2 best of 3s. And for M80, they found themselves in that same spot at Copenhagen, being down 0-2 very early on. And let me tell you, it didn't end well.
Well, you know, it's darkest before the dawn. That's what they say,
Darkest
Carter.
before the zero.
Before the zero, exactly. We'll see if they can go from zeros to heroes here, get their first dub under the board. We'll have to just find out. M80 has been looking very solid up against DZ for quite some time. A little worrisome, but when it comes down to it, DarkZero definitely has a great game plan when it comes to the game of Rainbow Six Siege. So let's jump in here and see what this ban phase is going to look like. DarkZero is going to be leading us off as they have the defensive bans, and obviously it's going to be the offense we're getting rid of first. Doe could be a huge operator when it comes down to it, something we've been highlighting throughout this tournament in the last handful of months, as she's got so much utility, you can't even shake a stick at it. Gonna have Monty banned out as well, and I mean, that
Honestly,
is a great set. A great set. Yeah, I know. They M80 banded away from Kino. They're like,
Well, not.
no way.
Listen, like, I think Parker and Nick have talked about it quite a bit.
Well, Nick especially, because Nick is such a Monty crutch.
The Monty from both DZ and M80 this stage it's been consistent, but that doesn't mean it's been good. It's been very hit or miss for both of these teams. Even ignoring Kino's play yesterday, Monty as a whole in North America, a lot of people like to play it. In NA, I can't say a lot of people play him very well. So him being banned will remove a comfort pick for both of these teams, but that doesn't necessarily mean that
I'm glad I'm shaking in his little boots, I guess, dude. I don't know.
Literally, bro, Nick's in the hotel room right now like, yes!
Yeah, Nick's giggling, bro. He's laughing straight to the bank with this. He's preying on your downfall, Kino, so let's hope that you can turn up today. Don't have to worry about the Monty. The Blitz is still available, but we'll just have to see. Both of these teams have their respective ideas, and I'm just excited to get into it. Doe could be off the board, so we're more than likely going to be seeing some other things like Lion to try and assist with this. Plenty of hard breach abound right now, too, but Gomez is going to change it up for the buck. I'm a lot more awake now.
You are?
Yeah, I am.
You're a lot more awake. What time is it?
I was telling you earlier,
6:35?
I don't know what's happening to me. I don't. Those first games, it felt like a fever dream to me. But now,
What do you mean?
I'm here.
I thought GK'd be BDS. I'm an X-Key stan.
you're a key stand, bro. I'm all about Hasham over here.
Dude, X-Key's so much better. You're kidding.
Well, first of all, Hasham.
Did you see his play
Yeah,
against
but
MIT?
Hasham's hot, so now what? Now what do you have to say?
All right.
Huh? That's what I thought.
My fault.
Yeah, you stay over there.
All right. First round, of course, it will be the basement bomb site. This used to be, I would say, like the first bomb site on Consulate. Maybe you disagree. CEO is also very well liked, but I would say since the rework, it's definitely not maybe played as much, but I don't really feel like there is a primary bomb site just yet, as teams are just now figuring it out. But what we can say is the defense needs to deny some map control for the attack. It's a consistent thing on many maps, but on a map that is so difficult to entry and to acquire map control on, like Consulate, you're basically defeating yourself if you're not at least holding part of the map, because you're forcing the defense or forcing the attack to take fights against you that, just because of the way the map's designed, are inherently so disadvantageous.
Yeah, Consulate and Cafe share this in common. Can you clear? And if you can't, you're probably going to lose a lot of your offensive set.
And that's why they banned the Fenrir. It makes taking those fights inside of the building so much easier. No dread mines on those single doorways. Don't need to clear them either. Frees up some utility in the lineup. And in the case of M80, they feel so bold. They're not bringing a single set of frag grenades, but the ops are almost entirely built around acquiring that control. I was about to say the Jackal, but may he rest in peace. But you also have the Buck creating these skeleton keyholes that find Rice and trade the man advantage back 4-4. And you still have the EE1Ds, the Amaru, all of this kit, even down to the secondary utility, is meant to make taking this control that much easier. And do they get it flawlessly? No, but hey, at least even it.
And the good news is that they did get rid of Jackal, so the info game leading into the actual site execute, somebody won't be singled out and kind of be forced into a bad gunfight. Canadian is going to discover one player on Spiral. This is his camera that he's stolen with the pest of Mozzie. He's going to put it inside of grass here at the bottom of Spiral. Rest of DarkZero, though, and trickled across the entirety of this basement floor. Seeing if M80 can continue to push things forward here as they're clearing things out. Kino using the Supernova right now to try and open up a few lines of sight of his own. Beauty of Amaru, she does have that secondary SMG-11, so the shotgun, never really a bad gig.
Not a bad gig at all. Fortunately, M80 down to only 3 drones, so they're going to have to make a decision what they want to allocate to the flank or what they want to actively use. Diaz thankfully has both hit in his pocket, so there are some options there, but M80 are using as much time as they can, still opening holes up above Garage, but where they're going to push from is yet to be decided. Could be down Spiral, could be down Yellow Stairs.
Oh.
No, certainly. Has moved down Spiral at the moment, but he finds Panbazoo. But now M80 or DarkZero, I should say, know where somebody's pushing from. But in the disadvantage, Kino is just keeping him off guard. Gomez able to find Canadian as he rotates inside of the site, but suddenly the man count evens. Kino's got to take this close quarters engagement. Should be an easy pickup, especially now that Diaz is taken down one. Huge first round for M80 as they take a long time to get there, but once they're set up, can't be stopped. I can't.
Fight that shit, bro. Fight it. Fight it. Don't give him any respect.
Well, I got one part of it, but I can't repeat it.
Is he talking to Rexon? Or do we got the whole NA squad in here?
Dude, do we? Oh man, this is North American after North American, right?
This is, I mean, we got SQ Bleed after this, and I would not be shocked if they're like maybe setting out or just like chilling out or something. But like,
They're standing right behind their desk.
literally just Richie's got the mouse pad just sitting there, just like, yeah, good job, guys, let's go. He's just enjoying the showdown.
Well, for all intents and purposes, actually a very solid round from M80. I was a little worried once the floor was starting to get ripped up at like 40 seconds, and I was like, all right, guys, what are we doing here? This is taking a little while, but fortunately enough, they were able to convert that pretty quickly. A nice little pickup onto Pamba, especially opening the door, made it toward Canadian, kind of had to do double duty there. Ends up shifting over deeper into Garage, and that opened up that space there at the bottom of Spiral for Keener to slip right in, use that Supernova to its fullest effect.
And the SMG-11, he did double duty. Got the secondary, got the primary, got 2 kills for his troubles. Lovely stuff from Kino in that round. All not with a shield in hand. You love to see it from Kino. But of course,
We found the problem. I'm just kidding.
but we found the problem. Here's the thing. Kino on Amaru just might be the solution, because if you thought his basement play was good, check this out. We're on CEO now, and what teams love to do here is send it up through one of those windows, specifically the projector one, because to really counter that window inside a projector, you got to swing around the corner. It's very easy to counter, especially if you have Ascends on the board. Of course, there's none here, but we do have Diaz on the Grim, who can fill up the entirety of the top floor, or at least the projector bomb side almost, with those bees to stop anybody from swinging close.
Yeah, things are going to get pretty hot to trot once they hit the big red button, because you have Ying, you have Grim,
Not even
you got
mention
Finka on top of that. Exactly. There's going to be so much utility flying in here. This is all meant to be a pretty surprising feat that M80 are trying to pull off, especially with Kino here, right? He's going to have that case. They're going to try and dump everything in on DarkZero and see if they can thwart their game plans. The big thing here is Rice. Rice really needs to hit his marks. If he doesn't and that warden goes to the wayside, then M80 are more than likely picking up round 2.
It's good, though, because they got NJR on one side, Rice on the other. So if anybody pushes through that wall or goes through that window, there are 2 different players who could pick up that kill. So that DZ have accounted for it, they're anticipating it. We still got half the round to go. We're talking about executes, everything like that, but it seems to be that DZ or M80 have got everything set up. Candelas go out, Iconics, Kino's got a Z-ping as he flies on in. There goes Spoit in the window, but no one's dealt with Rice. The Gar hook's a bit late. Great nade from Iconic to take down Canadian, but again, because Kino's a little late to the mark, it ends up resulting in Spoit's death, but he lands his shots, gets the advantage. Gomez widens it further. Might be a little sloppy on the initial kill, but everything afterward has been flawless for M80. Pamba hears one inside a printer, but it's just too late. As Gomez picks up one more, and Gavin, ooh, with a nice little kill on the player playing tucked on the console window. He's got intel on one more. Nice little pick right there. Intel on a third, too. This is winnable. One player on yellow as well.
All right, Gavini. There's a time to put that up in the rafters. It'd be now 1 versus 2. But Gomez, M80's just so slick with the mechanics, man. I mean, you're trying to fight practical pixels right there off that peak from Gomez. Incredible stuff. M80 will line up 2 rounds, but a beautiful execution. They don't get the case down immediately, but Kino wasn't really trying to gun for that all too much. He was kind of playing his zone there for a while, and it did just lead into that factor where Gav was able to use his impacts to the fullest extent of the law, but obviously M80 had the things in place to be able to pull it back across the line. That's the beauty of man advantage, isn't it, Card?
It is the beauty of man advantage, especially when you have that strat, that specifically the coordination on that CEO window, right? Because sure, they lose the guy moving into the projector window, but because they timed that nade so well, and Kino's able to fly into that window, he still gets the kill, and it ends up being a 4v3. So overall, could have been a 5v3 if you really think about it. But hey, you're going to have some moments sometimes, some gaps are going to be left, some kills are going to be had by the other team, but as long as you can recover from that, that is what matters. DZ now moving to their 3rd bomb site so far, having no success on any of them, and it's a nice little equal. Had the bottom floor first, top floor second, now down to the middle. Still going to see plenty of vertical play because we got the Solus and the Pulse.
There it is. Welcome to Master Chef, folks. Let's see what Canadian's cooking on the Pulse. He's all the way downstairs. This is the bread and butter strategy. In fact, we have somebody actually going home to our hotel right now on a bus that really likes playing like this. His name just so happens to be Fox, I don't know if you know that. Him and Canadian, 2 peas in a pod when it comes to Pulse on this map. In fact, I would argue that this is probably Fox's best map for Pulse. Same with Canadian, just because this op is so influential across all floors of this map.
You just sit in the basement, scan people on the 2nd floor. It's beautiful. It's great stuff from that Pulse, if Canadian can make it work. But it's always the same risk when you have a Canadian or a Canadian, when you have a Pulse or a Solus, but honestly with Canadian as well. Sometimes they find themselves in a bit of a solo position, can be pinched out. So how are DarkZero making sure that if somebody decides to push Canadian down below, that they have someone who can trade him out? Or specifically, Diaz with this IQ sees a C4 has been placed, but more importantly sees that Pulse. He's really thinking about what to do with this because they're looking at each other right now. They're both aware of it. So he's just thinking to himself, all right, how can I turn this to my advantage?
Hilarious interaction here. He's just staring at the Nitro cell and he's like, well, I can't move forward. I'll die. So he's just gonna stand here, kind of just call out Canadian and make sure that they know that he's on this side of the map. This is kind of a distracting factor from DS as well. He's gonna transition this up towards the top floor. They also got the Jackal Clear coming in from Spoit on the far side, so we'll get those marks working their way through. This entire top floor is going to be vacated by the defense. DarkZero just rounding things off to home. That's what you want to do about the halfway mark here. Consulate, though, can get volatile if you do that a little bit too quickly. You'll give over a little bit too much map control. So that's what we're looking to try and fix up here. So DZ's more than likely just going to maintain control of the highlight areas, try and keep them away from M80's hands. But Gomez, once again, showcasing the beauty of Consulate and the Skeleton Key here. You can go through all of the floors and try and combat things from all the way upstairs.
Gomez also just having a great event. Great stage of the NAL so far. 5-1 at this point, and with that buck, as you said, he can create angles through floors wherever he so pleases. Again, the bomb site's on the 1st floor, but given the fact that you have Canadian and NJR on the board who are going to be playing verticality to deny that plant, it's perfect to basically make sure that once you actually move in to put the diffuser on the floor, you'll do it safely. There's one player currently lurking by yellow stairs. It's iconic. Just almost misses somebody inside of the site. There's also a 2-man team, Panba and NJR, who are looking to rotate up the yellow stairs and go for a flank later on. A lot of pieces on the board. It's the curse of a 5v5 execute. But who will come out on top? Will the retake work? Will the plant go down? Kino certainly trying, attempting a 2nd time now. Dodging C4s left and right. The first kill goes the way of M80. Gavini trades it back very quickly. It's all still a stalemate at this point. But that favors the defense if they can keep case control in their hands. NJR goes for the retake, but with the shotgun, these engagements are not favorable for him. He ends up letting Gomez and Spoit slip away entirely, losing control of the diffuser, but it's 0-0 now. If he just finds Spoit through the floor, he doesn't even need to. Canadian just rotates around, downs the diffuser in the face. 1st round for DarkZero.
Way to keep the info game alive for the defense and just let M80 lose due to time. Hide everybody. You don't have to try and go for this big sweeping fight. We saw them kind of build up for something around yellow stairs, but Pambazoo decided against it, and that was a great decision. You don't want to just send 2 people up that stairwell. M80 have been locking things down that top floor for quite some time. It's just not a risk you're willing to take, and you see exactly why. M80 are forced into the building on a pretty harsh execute. Iconics instantaneously traded out on that window, and things really start to fall apart. On top of that, I really like that last second rotation there from the Solus, because that's when things have reached critical mass, right? You can retake the top floor, a lot of M80 bodies are going down, and you can try and reclaim that verticality to shut down the round.
Honestly, that round probably ends in a far more explosive fashion if he's just got like a fully automatic weapon there instead of a shotgun. He had 2 people lined up.
Oh, the P90 kills both of them.
Exactly, but hey, sometimes you pick the wrong loadout, but that's why you have the IGL to bail you out. So excellent job from Canadian. DarkZero able to pick up their first defense, but M80 on a very solid trend to end this half at a 4-2. Assuming no adjustments from DarkZero, the lineup's pretty similar overall. And M80, well, no Amaru this go around, so no Supernova flank down spiral stairs at least.
Yeah, they're looking around for some other options. They're going to keep the IQ in play, and why wouldn't you? I mean, there's a very major risk that you're going to see Solus, you're going to see Pulse, Valkyrie, Pests. There's a lot of different things that IQ can deal with here.
And the 4 C4s as well. I mean, everyone except Panbazoo's got explosive secondary utility, and he even decided to bring the BP instead. He just, big fan of side intel, this man. No Bravo on the board, so it wouldn't get hacked either. Just got to be sure it doesn't get shot. Got to be sure if you're Spoit, you don't get C4'd from below. Kino, I imagine, him and the Jackal will be a tag team throughout that roam clear, making sure that if anybody's moving around that middle floor, that there's not a pre-placed C4 completely lined up to take down Spoit or anybody who tries to move through the second floor.
What we got up here? It's going to be Canadian on the roam.
Who else would it be?
People. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That's my favorite thing about Canadian's IGL. And he's like, all right, you guys are going to sit in sight. I'm going to run upstairs and try some stuff. Okay, it's fantastic. He sets himself up for success, but he can find some incredible things, just like Rice right here. You know, we've been talking about how Rice's openers have not been great. That's a beautiful one as he takes down the buck.
At defense has definitely been Rice's stronger side so far this tournament. It's the attack where he's having some issues, but on defense, when he's able to get a little aggressive, able to make some more individual.
What? He was in CEO 20 seconds ago. Homie's all the way down in server.
Listen.
Put on the Lamborghinis for that one, dude. He was full sprint.
Sometimes got to hit the full world tour to make the rotation, and he's still got a C4 in pocket, so he can play for it later in the round. Rice, the only one that used his, and it took down the soft destruction from up above. Thankfully, there's multiple breach charges and likely a secondary shotgun in the hands of Spoit. But we've seen how efficient and destructive Gomez has been so far, so taking down that Buck skeleton key, that's still a huge win.
Kino will continue to soul search throughout this site for any of the electronics, as well as some verticality being added in. But Gavini, as well as the majority of DarkZero here, NJR, also swinging through. They thought that they could just get that one kill on the garage player and then hightail it out of there, but clearly not. They're going to lose NJR, but the man advantage still going the way of the defense.
2 C4s to deny plant once the bomb inevitably attempts to go down. Easy looking primed and ready to pick up their second defense, assuming there's no big overperformance from M80. The loss of Gomez is definitely still hurting them with the lack of vertical angles. But with 30 seconds left, what's really hurting them is the lack of kills or entry points on the site. Spoit and Kino both trying to be the tip of the spear down 2 separate stairwells. Spoit spots one, but he's damaged first and foremost. Trying to move on in. Kino shut down on the yellow stairs. Spoit easily converted upon. Iconic. Nothing you can do at that point. Nothing you can do with all the angles for DZ alive on the site.
Really difficult. And what I like there is that the entire mentality for the roam game from Canadian was to delay time and force them into just bad happenings on that mid floor. Once again, we run into the same issue, Carter. They're clearing things out, trying to find these angles to influence their fights downstairs. Just this time, it didn't work out. They really didn't have the, ability to clear things out in the same way. It's just IQ with breaching charges. They don't have a buck. There's no ram on the board. There's a lot of different things that they could look over to if they want to try and patch up these holes for this in the future. But as of right now, just not going to work out due to that man advantage going the way of DZ. Oh, Kino. Please don't.
Oh, hold on.
I mean, you got to risk it for the biscuit eventually, right?
Let's chill out. It's a different op.
It's an even more risky op, actually.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. He might switch away. They don't even know what we're talking about yet, so let's give it a second. It is the split bomb site, by the way.
Oh, Ram. I really like Ram for this spot. She's just fantastic on console, period.
Just hit the rappel, throw the boogie in outside the window. We're chilling.
All right, so it's locked in. So you want to talk about the fact that NJR is playing Ella into that, or that Pambazoo is playing Legion?
No, I think the beauty of an American major is the framers of the Constitution put freedom of choice and association as a core tenet of our liberal democracy. And I think that ultimately means that sometimes you got to make your own decisions. Sometimes they bite you, sometimes they don't. In this case, maybe there's some utility that might make a blitz push a little awkward.
Freedom isn't free.
Exactly.
It costs a hefty fee. And Kino might be charged at the door for this one. We'll just have to see. I will not continue this rhymes game, don't worry. Some of the floor is going to be broken up here. We're going to have Gav over inside of Secret, whatever you guys call it nowadays. Who knows? But Iconic and the rest of the gang are looking towards Tellers and want to try and break a couple things up. We're going to have Kino on this top floor clearing with his team. They have full breadth over this entire thing, so you shouldn't have to worry about this too much. We just want to make sure that they transition in good timing.
attackers have recovered
They have full cleared out that second floor. Now the primary issue is just clearing out the middle, as you often, well, in Consulate's history, normally teams would go for the plant down in that middle floor, then just bait out the C4s from below. But we do see a lot of teams go for actually that movement down secret to plant inside of the bomb site from below. But at this point, with how much utility Gomez is dedicating to the second floor, and again, creating those numerous angles through the second floor, through the first floor, into the bottom. M80 looking at the moment to get that bomb down inside of the teller's position. Big rotation, a lot of rotation so far from M80. They are really indecisive about what angle they want to push.
That was actually a perfect time to bring that up because you could see the split decision making there. They just didn't really know what the call was just yet. Kino's going to shift on over to yellow. The key thing is right now is that Spoit still has the EMPs in pockets. It just doesn't really seem like they know what they want to try and breach. They're going to rotate all the way around to Big Garage right now, Carter, and they can go for the full clear downstairs. But, I mean, you're really banking on the fact of Kino here. I really want to see somebody back him up on this clear, because if he goes this solo, things could definitely run amok here for M80.
But the late rotate might just catch some DarkZero defenders off guard with how much pressure is up above, how many angles are being created. Kino will push on forward. Will he run into any of those goo mines or those Gurjmats? Flash goes out. Kino trying to stop it, but there goes one. He'll break down the barbed wire. 2 kills, 1 split between each team. He's moved into the bomb site now. There he spots the Ella. Can he get the kill? There we go. Manage acquired.
He got him.
Pamazu through the wall. Gavini with a quick trade. Canadian on the follow-up has made this a stalemate. Again, neither team able to gain ground in what is a very hectic and uncoordinated execute for M80 as they leave a gap. Gavini exploits in no time at all. Tries to pick the final one up. Both a little sloppy in that engagement, but 4 seconds left and the Solus up above. Spoit knows his fate. He drops the diffuser for the bait, but Canadian, he's got the benefit of wisdom. He just waits it out.
Yeah, most definitely. Solid decision making from him. And you can see how difficult of a setup that was for M80 to try and work around. And the key thing being that they really only have those 2 pocket EMPs for Lion. There's nothing for them to try and do, especially with Gavini sitting there playing Bandit. He's just going to Bandit trick that panel every single time you try and get rid of it. So they have to try and adjust. They throw things over to Big Garage with a minute remaining. And honestly, I think Kino did a very bang-up job. It's just the fact that M80 didn't have the full haymaker loaded up to be able to try and solve all the problems that DarkZero presented. They had so many people, so many bodies inside at that point, Carter. I mean, it's practically a clown car.
M80 just definitely beyond indecisive in that round as to what angle they wanted to push from. The calling just all over the place. I mean, you even saw DS Lucas run over to that garage wall and he reacted on his player cam like, crap, what do I do? Like, we don't have enough time, not the utility, anything like that. So, if M80 want this even half, a little bit more decisiveness needs to be the play, and unfortunately for them, they're going back to the round where they first dropped an attack. DarkZero got to go back down to that middle floor. And if we saw a little bit of hecticness there, it was a lot more coordinated for M80 on this projector, or this exposition attack, excuse me, but still a lot of gaps left, allowing defenders to rotate out through the top floor, rotate around the bomb site, and one that still took a lot of time to leave those gaps in the first place.
Here we go. I'm really liking this a lot. This entire offensive lineup from M80 making a lot of sense from what we've seen. And, you know, although it is the last round of the half, I'd rather them make this big sweeping adjustment now. We're going to have Spoit back in the Jackal. He's got that secondary shotgun, so he can help with a little bit of the soft destruction. We have Gomez here with the secondary hard breach too. So that means we got our 2 hard breachers as well as Iconic with EMPs. This is looking a lot more like the lineup you would want to use up against DarkZero, given the, you know, the circumstances that we've seen.
C4 is going to be an ever-present threat. But then IQ Deuce was able to spot Canadian very early on the previous exposition attack. Have a little bit of a Cold War over by the Visa doorway, but not much was done beyond that. It's been fairly slow and fairly late for all of these executes from M80. Sometimes tends to happen on Consulate, but with DarkZero, at least in the early round, not throwing any curveballs M80's way, even with this pulse on the board. Will they be able to speed it up? Who knows for certain. The verticality will always be important, as they need to get Gomez in a position to use these skeleton keys. But it's pretty much exactly what we've just seen so far. I mean, even down to the rotations, down to the positions from the defense, but maybe Gomez able to have a bit more of an impact this time as he's worked his way into the CEO office. Just half the round to go.
Good timing, too. And again, the beauty of... Ooh! Oh, okay, cool. Gomez is going to stay alive. And again, the beauty of the skeleton key when it comes to Consulate, your ability to just sit up top, break up all the flooring without having too much of a threat, unless obviously the defense wants to play that mid floor a little bit aggressive, which makes quite a bit of sense from what we've seen earlier, especially with Canadian on that pulse, able to line things up and make an attempt for Gavini there. Just only a sliver's worth of HP being left by Gomez. But with all that being said, not a lot being done until Iconic is able to take down Rice. A nice find from him. Good patience play over towards the lobby side will gift the smoke over to the offense.
NGR now moving up the yellow stairs position. This and Canadian down below are both going to be problems for M80 if they decide to go for a plant. Two vertical angles, or at least one potential vertical angle if NGR does hit the rotate or the retake up to the top floor. What are you going to do, M80? You've got the advantage, but you're letting these DarkZero defenders get what they want. Iconic, the only one really to stop anybody in this position. The reason M80 has a managed advantage twice over now, but Gomez stops the retake, and that's what they needed. Spoit in position to get the bomb down once the C4 from Canadian goes wide. We'll just have to move to a defensible position. Now Gavini cut down. Even with this intel through the floor, Canadian knows he's got to go for the retake up top, but move into 4 different attackers, both falling off, all a bunch of chaos. 2 very quickly go his way. A UMP clutch on Consulate. We've seen this one before, but still, 1 player up above. But DS on low HP. Are they in position? No, Canadian just sticking. Iconic just barely gets into position in time. Ooh, a little bit of a close one there, but Iconic opening and closing round 6.
3 big kills from Dave there. Patience, a huge virtue in that one as he's constantly maintaining things around, you know, the main door, shifts on over towards that far window, and is able to close things up finally as Canadian swings back through the angle during the post plant there. So very well done from M80. Get things tied up here, get it to be palatable on this defense. I really liked how they were able to transition quickly into that top floor, allow Buck to break up a lot of that flooring, make it super difficult for the defense to try and exist inside of that downstairs area. And right when Iconic lights off that powder keg, the kills just start pouring in.
And really just big too, Iconic, just getting all 3 of those kills just from holding angles outside main door, outside the white hallway.
A little old Consulate showing up,
yeah,
right?
Just holding exterior angles, and obviously having to vault in the building on the last one, but still, just basically playing Consulate to what used to be its strengths. Now a little bit more difficult. DarkZero, between these 2 teams, they've at least played Consulate 1 time, and they are a little bit more of a known quantity, and in this case, it's a strat, or at least one similar to one we've seen before. When they attack this second floor bomb site, they usually like to get the bomb down inside of Projector, throw all those bees in, completely cover the bomb site, then have someone plant on the doorway, separating Visa stairs and the bomb site itself. But the addition of the Amaru might add a new dimension to it. Maybe send it in through kind of the normal single window we see, maybe even through the CEO window later on. That's a new dimension that DZ haven't really run before.
No, and honestly, it could work extremely well, especially because Gavini's got the air jabs too, so they can lock up a whole metric load of different positions around that top floor. You know, you can use the bees for some time, but the air jab persists, and that's the beauty of that right there. So we'll see what DarkZero want to do. This is more than likely going to require a lot of window play, and what do you know? We're going to be repelled over on the south side here, the traditional area in which to take. Comes over to administration office, working things in from the east, rather. And overall, so far, so good for DarkZero. They'll get their foothold here. This is always the most worrisome thing when you start swinging in on this side. It's like, okay, is somebody going to be aggressive and try and swing me on one of these doors, or exactly what's going to take place?
Raising our defense, reloading, cover me. Magnets ready.
There's so much utility also stacked on all these doorways. I mean, if there was a Fenrir here, it'd be even worse, but thankfully it's been banned out. You just instead have to worry about, you know, magnets, ADSs, deployable shields, goo mines, barbed wire, Gomez in general. The unfortunate thing about Consulate is, for this kind of take, DZ have a lot of utility they need to clear, but Pambazoo,
he doesn't have bomb, so...
That's what I was going to say. Well, right here, going through the CEO window, he's just meant to cause chaos, either distract from the players going into Projector, or get a kill and then just be someone on the back line. But he's waiting for the call to come in. NJR is also in his position for when this bomb goes down. This is where he normally sends the bees in. Here we go. Everything flying in. Pambazoo sends it in through the window, and the player's back is turned. Kino can't turn around in time. DarkZero have the advantage they need. Gavini now shuts down the rotations from Gomez. A long line of sight cut cuts the bomb side in half, everyone falling on the side of M80. This basically has gone off without a hitch for DarkZero. Do they lose Canadian? Maybe. But they've got DS Lucas nailed down, not before he cuts down Pamazoo.
Plan going off without a hitch here for NJR.
Attackers activating diffuser.
Has to worry about these rotations too. You can hear those air jobs beeping in the background. Gavini is going to go down, but still a long road ahead of him. Rice and NJR still up, and Pamazoo going to join the ranks now too. Low HP and definitely a solvable problem for DS, but it's still going to be quite difficult. You can see the angle play coming in here, especially from these two inside the office, the window player as well. This is not what you want to be peeking into. Let's see how it goes for DS, and he's dead as you can get. A little tabletop action in between those two. I'll at least get one for his troubles, but NJR will quickly nip that in the bud. DarkZero take the lead once again here off the back of that beautiful Amaru play.
And the addition of the Amaru really makes that execute that much better, because when you're going for those B placements inside a projector and the normal bomb plant, the Amaru, you win either way. Either you distract the main guy who could counter the plant in the first place, or you kill him, and now you're just holding the angle to stop the defense from rotating. You really don't lose so long as you have a coordinated team. And you can say a lot of things about DarkZero. Maybe they're slow, maybe they have some role issues, but you can't say they're not coordinated. You can't say they're not structured or they know their strats to a T. So when you have Pamazoo get that kill, it's just not going to go your way for M80 unless someone goes big with performances, just because DarkZero have practiced this so many times and they get the best scenario possible.
Yeah, and just to provide this as well, I mean, you can think about it this way. M80 more than likely knew what the strategy was going to be, and they still couldn't stop it.
Yep.
They had everything built up over on the vending hall for Gomez, and that made it to where they were able to kind of play across that top floor in a pretty solid way, I would say. But the big thing is, and what you touched on there with the Amaru, is the distracting factor. The main thing about execution isn't, I mean, it is about, killing your opponent, right? But that distracting factor, being able to pull pressure to different portions of the map and make it to where they had to take fights with these different windows, and all of a sudden you go, wait, did a window just break? But I'm dead. Oh, okay. Yes, and that's just perfectly played out there from DarkZero on how you can even thwart people that are as good as M80. These people are not slouches. It's just those little micro decisions, Carter.
Big decision from Panba. He's sprinting through that basement floor. Call DarkZero's defense is the amount of vertical control they had contesting any plant going through the first floor. Well, Vigil might not have a lot of post-plant utility, but he's a sitting duck right now inside of Archives below. A drone allowing Panba to give some intel, and EE1D as well, pushing on in. They've got this roamer, at least in theory, nailed down, but Iconic manages to get out and move back up to the second floor where... Is that all 5 defenders on the top floor?
Yeah. Unless Diaz is through the floor, and I just can't tell. But
let's make sure we got our
no, they're all up top, and it's all vertical play. I actually really, really like this. I also like the fact that Iconic picked Vigil. Vigil isn't exactly in the greatest spot right now, but he counters out one key operator that everybody is using currently because Dokubi's not in play. It's Lion. He's the only one that can move around unless you're standing on a mute jammer.
Benefit of that ERC. But we saw M80 play a lot of retake strats yesterday against Bleed, and they were able to find the holes in it, specifically no C4 and Red Hall. Here, though, I mean, M80 might not be leaving any gaps just by the sheer amount of vertical angles through the floor. And even if there is some angle that isn't watching this diffuser, that's why you have Kino on the Solus to spot where that diffuser is going down. 2 minutes into the round now. DarkZero barely even entered the building aside from Pamazoo moving through the basement.
I really can't blame them, because this is a strategy that when you drone out the site, you're like, okay, there's got to be something fishy going on. And if we don't figure it out quick enough, then we're more than likely losing this round just based off of strategy. You can see Rice flirting with the spiral staircase, but decides against it. The real question is, do they just try and find a place to plant, or...
I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to push on in. Rice is found spoiled, but you still have the Solus up above. Surely they're going to find Canadian. Maybe they got an angle on it. Surely they're going to find Canadian. Surely they're going to find Canadian. There we go. Kino finally downs him, but so many kills go DarkZero's way. We've somehow devolved into a 2v2, but diffuser control effectively in the hands of the defense, and with Rice on low HP, that's an easy pickup for DS Lucas. Getting the bomb down is likely just not going to happen for Pamazoo at this point, and he's on a completely different floor from the rest of the defense. defense. M80 very likely have won this round as Gomez drops down, takes down Pamazoo with a very, very heavy retake strat.
That was very well thought out. Although some of the kills did not go M80's way, that is such a difficult clear for DarkZero, especially because they didn't start on the top floor. You know, if they start with something like administration office and then clear across, that strategy probably not nearly as effective.
Yes.
But since they had that huge roam downstairs, and Iconic just taking a victory lap with the Vigil, turns that ERC-7 on and sprints all the way upstairs. They have to re-drone everything, Carter, because they have no idea where the guy is. And he is upstairs with his merry band of friends, just chilling out, waiting for DarkZero to try and clamber into sight.
That's probably almost the one-to-one equivalent of what DZ did for their first attacking execute. They have the Amaru with the misdirection, who, if he gets a kill, great. If he doesn't, at least he distracts him. That's basically what the defense just did with the Vigil. They put him in the basement, forced DZ to drone him, forced them to reconsider, and they clearly want to kill that Vigil by putting Pamazoo in so quickly. But whether Iconic dies or not, his point is just to say, all right, we're going to force them to start in basement. I'll waste a minute 15 seconds, minute 30 seconds. Even if I don't die, they don't have time to rotate up to admin and clear across the map like they would have otherwise had they started up top or been more focused on that extension on the top floor. So excellent strategy from M80. Clearly caught DarkZero off guard, and now we move back to that split bomb site, which is likely going to be a bit more of a traditional focus.
Well, we say that, but we never really know what's going to happen.
We got the Solus, we got the C4s and the Valk. Like, come on, it's got to be.
It's got to be. You'd think so. Iconic's going to be on the pulse for this one. You're reading things out for Gomez inside of Secret for now. DarkZero will be starting things off on the east side here, at least for Rice's sake, as he'll start droning things out. And speaking of Rice, he's been having a heck of a game, although, you know, obviously 5 and 6, but looking quite good in comparison to what was happening to him throughout this tournament thus far. So definitely have to be happy with that. As for the rest of the gang, though, Gavini really at the top of the heap right now, trying to pull DarkZero to victory. M80 are going to use their initial portion of a utility here. I think there was an impact coming out from Kino, and it will keep that hatch locked up for now.
DS and his impact lineups. Got the one on Theme Park that Pangu made sure to correct me. I misattributed to DS Lucas, and it was actually Pangu thinking of it in the moment in a matchup. I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to offend you that one time. But right there, got a nice little impact lineup for the garage door. It doesn't work out. They're still able to open the wall. Good work to NJR. He'll back off as a result. You never really want to contest garage immediately by having someone in the area unless they've got a deployable shield. M80 are all backing off and just playing passive angles, because now they can retreat, even though Canadian, NJR, Gavini are all starting to open up angles onto this position. They can very easily retreat back to the bomb site and be happy that they've wasted half the round.
And this is looking quite similar to what we saw out of M80. They just made the decision a little bit later on to come in from this side. Kino able to get quite a bit done with the blitz. Let's give him a little bit of grief about that, but obviously he proved me wrong. That shield play still well within his right to garner. Either way, though, Iconic to use his Nitro here. Candela out will stun him entirely, and that's going to be 2 big pickups for DarkZero for clearing things through. Spoit's going to get discovered on the back end here by an air jab, and has to make a crucial decision here. Does he rotate back across the map, or does he try and keep the pressure here on the back end of DarkZero? You really don't want to give over any more bodies in a situation like this, especially with 2 already down the river. With 45 seconds remaining, though, DarkZero have to continue to try and propel forward and clear out DS/Kino to make sure they got a place to plant this.
1 Candela remaining, 1 HP remaining for Spoit. A flank very difficult to rationalize at this point. DS Lucas just barely holding on, but somebody's got to go big, and it's got to be Spoit, and it simply will not. Back and forth at the side swap, and DarkZero, who got that first round, take their lead back.
Great patience there from NJR as well. He's just holding that main hallway downstairs, the bottom of Spiral for an eternity. He's playing things out from the yellow pillar. DarkZero take the lead again here, 5-4. No attack timeouts just yet. M80, solid discussion back and forth on what the next strategy is. Not too concerned with what just happened to them on the split site. And, I mean, honestly, it was just a very strong setup from DarkZero. Some of the more forward positions from M80 immediately taking influence from Canadian as well as Pamba as they just cleared out that entire frontal assault that they had built up. Starting here with Canadian, a nice find from Pamba right here on to Gomez. And from that moment on, M80 never really having a candle to hold to DarkZero's light.
Now for DarkZero, if their executes so far have gotten in place, if they've set up their positions, it's been very difficult for M80 to fight back. In both attacks they've won so far, that has been the case. The first of which being on the CEO bomb site.
10 seconds left.
But I don't think they'll be able to get away with that Amaru play anymore. I mean, Iconic has the Frost now. If you Gar hook into that window, you simply cannot react to that Frost mat unless you clear it earlier in the round, and that probably explains why there's simply no Frost, or simply no Amaru. But DarkZero, they're still committing to this Grim. They're very likely just going to fall back on their original take, which is clear from admin over, use the gridlocks and the nomads now to lock down different rotations surrounding the A bomb site, but still keep the core intact, which is flood the bomb site with bees, get the bomb down somewhere and project.
It's so funny because when these two operators came out, you know, and we finally had them both in the game, we're like, oh, this could be really annoying. But it's only in the modern day now where you can work it in the majority of the time because Gridlock has soft destruction with that super shorty and frag grenades. So making a heck of a lot of sense, especially on a map like Consulate where the roam game has so much influence.
Well, both teams just biding their time. DarkZero, of course, trying to get active, but as is the nature of Consulate, you have to drone out these rooms first. As most of these engagements, if you were to go on drone, would be a 50-50 and so many rooms to clear, so many different corners. It's going to take a lot of time, but it does mean now that DarkZero are pushing into the bulk of M80's setup. That deployable shield, the magnets, the ADSs, all of it. They were able to evade a little bit last time by going for a bit of a bait and switch and rappelling into windows inside a projector, but now a lot is still placed admin side from M80, and DarkZero are, at the end of the day, just going to have to clear it out. Half the round about to go. Not much progress done on clearing out that setup just yet, so these next 45 seconds will be crucial for DarkZero's success.
And it's going to be all about this vending hallway right here, right? You can see the amount of utility that's built up. Look at all of the WMI discs. Every ADS also in position to try and keep this locked down for Spoit and Gomez as they will try and battle from this prime spot. And the suicide balcony opened up here as well, as we're going to be able to at least use the can opener and make that a little bit easier on themselves. Nice EMP application here to be able to make things a little bit more difficult for the defense, as that's going to be all of that utility in the hallway completely demolished, all off of some frag grenades.
Destroying that deployable shield means DarkZero can now push up and they'll be able to acquire the minimum amount of control they need. What they do now is they lay those air jabs on doorways. Of course, one caught by a magnet, since you didn't destroy it, you just disabled it with an EMP. You gotta be careful you don't end up dropping track stingers or air jabs to them. NJR always plays this balcony, and Spoit tries to get aggressive. That's a big pickup for NJR, as now he can continue holding that close swing on the A-bomb. Smoke canisters denying a little bit more time, and Gomez might just be the pivotal player here. Can he push up that long bar, harry DarkZero's backline, and make it too difficult to plant a bomb? As long as those guns from DarkZero work, though, they've got the advantage to fall back on. B's going out, but smoke canisters as well. Kino's now down. DarkZero have one shot and one shot alone at this point to put that case on the floor. Kino downs NJR despite being blinded. Canadian also on the floor. Panbo picks up the bomb. He's just not able to get it down. M80 just brute forced their way back onto the retake and eventually win on time.
I especially love the play there from Kino. He's like, I don't care if you're going to blind me. I'm just going to keep sending the pump, and we're going to see what happens. Works out for him, and DarkZero not able to brute force their way onto projector in the way that they wanted to. It took them a while to solve the equation there inside of vending. The EMPs were a great idea, but eventually the air jab getting soaked up there, they're able to reapply and try and reinsert, but M80 know that the jig is up. They start to immediately get hostile, and DarkZero don't have the other things in place to deal with the ramifications.
How they space you guys on top? Like so it was one spiral, one pro, there was one guy yellow? No. Right? Alright, so we just kill that guy, and then we go down spiral at the end. Yeah. While Kiki denies the plan, the same way. Yeah. Bro, another thing, bro, there was Malcolm. So why did you play Warden?
This boy's shaking. This guy.
M80 clearly perfectly fine with running back the same strategy.
You say that, but we're going to cafe.
That is true. But
they lied to you.
They did. But at least thinking about similar methodology, right? Because we still have that Solus to play for that verticality, still have C4s to deny the vertical from up above. I mean, to be fair, I mean, that's been pretty much the same for both of these teams, their methodologies for defending these bomb sites on Skyscraper. The sites may change, they may be looking up instead of down, but they've brought Solus pretty much every round, had at least a couple C4s almost every single time for, in this case for M80. That's not even unique either, as DZ did on, to be fair, not the basement bomb site, but still another one of the technically basement bomb sites.
Yeah. And get used to this, folks, because the more and more we see console in this tournament, the more and more you're going to see this. This is just how this map works. There's so much verticality to it, a lot of soft destructions for the flooring. So it just makes it to where, you know, you get that unique gameplay that is Rainbow Six Siege. You know, you're not just clearing on a horizontal level. There's a lot of things going on directly above you and directly below you, Carter. You have to think on a three-dimensional level. It's really difficult. There's, you know, I've had quite a few people ask me how the heck you even think in that way. And it's just like, well, I mean, I guess some got it and some don't, man.
Well, one of these teams has to get it. No matter who wins, they'll find themselves on match point. Remember, this is 0-1, so no matter who wins, who loses, an NA team is going down to the 0-2.
Let's see.
Can he? Just
oh, unlucky.
Sometimes you can get them higher above the mute jammer's radius, but the width can still get you sometimes. Someone will need to destroy this at some point if they want to open up that garage wall with the Capital bolts as well. Seems this will be a bit more of a direct take to try to shut off angles inside the bomb site, then push on in. But this is really tripping DarkZero up in the first minute and a half.
Well, you have EMPs, but it's on Rice. Gonna have some Valkyrie camera work here on Pambazoo, and this can get really scary really quick for him just due to all of the wood flooring he's standing on. There's 4 nitro cells down the stairs, and not only that, but I mean, Spoit could get a little frisky with it too if he wanted to. Just throw those impacts up and try and take an angle. We'll just have to see, but it's gonna be Pambazoo with the nitro cells first out of Diaz's hands. That'll knock him down to about half HP.
Iconic upstairs, who not for long. And the fadeaway from Pambazoo as he hops out of the art window. Man advantage now acquired for DarkZero, but still some progress to be made on the execute down below. They've got the vertical. They've got what they need. There's still plenty of C4s to worry about. Kino specifically, he's got the only one remaining. But Spoit, oh, he's still on that top floor. He's sending intel the rest of M80. Look, they've got 4 different people all stacked on that garage side. Pambazoo just hops back in, hoping that Spoit will get aggressive through one of these holes, but DarkZero, even with the advantage, they know the utility stacked against them, and that pushing into this garage wall is likely not going to end well for them.
The good news is that they've at least gotten the garage wall, so they have the ability to work their way in. The Osa shield will go down, but this is going to get absolutely terrifying, folks. Nitro cells abound, and that was the answer from Kino. Exactly what Boo Boo said. Get that nitro cell out there, get this plant denied, get this reset in. Hopefully they can get the kills to try and fix up this ship. Canadian working his way forward. Gav is going to be the one with the case. It's 3 versus 4. No more nitro cells for anyone, but some good gun work can definitely solve this problem for M80. They got it down to the 2 versus 2, make it the 1 versus 2 for DS.
Yes, Ood able to find one, but not the second. DarkZero moved to match point. I mean, M80 had the read right there. They threw out the C4, denied the initial bomb plant, but then it's a great counter read from DarkZero. Canadian just pushes on through, knows that with that Osa shield gone, getting that bomb down is not going to end well.
Not possible.
It's just not going to happen. But if we can push up to that rotate, get the kill on the player playing inside, maybe we can get the bomb down, but more importantly, we are applying pressure to the defense that is denying them the safety of those angles that they were able to deny the plant that Rice attempted initially.
He is one of the most dangerous men in the world when it comes to calling things on the ball like that, and that's just another huge showcase of why Canadian is worth the value of, you know, anybody on a team. He's so damn good when it comes to moments like this and just being like, okay, there's really no chance that we put this down. We must fight M80. And they solve this entire problem in a 2 versus 3. They trust their gun skill, they trust their teamwork, and they completely work it out. You can see the frustration on Diaz's face because that round was not supposed to go that way.
And this game has been back and forth ever since we swapped sides, put M80 on the defense and put DZ on the attack. But because DarkZero were the ones that started it out right, They're the ones on match point, and M80 now just 1 round away from moving down to the best of 3s, the 0-2, just like in Copenhagen, where they were inevitably eliminated 1-2, going out very early in the tournament at an event that many thought they had a shot at winning it all. Getting back to that spot, M80 want to be as far away from it as they can. They want to live up to those expectations. They might have only got second in the NAL, but this is still a team with enough star power to make your head spin. But winning this final defense in regulation, moving it into overtime, now you need to show up like we all know they can.
Yep. Well, and that was the wildest thing about their Charlotte run, too, is all the way through groups and Swiss. They looked like a good team, but did they look like the team that was going to win the entire tournament? No, that's the key thing. You never really know what the actual heights of these squads are. Yeah, you might be currently 0-1, looking to be 1-1, but could be a change of fate for either one of these squads. Even M80, they still have another game to play if they end up losing this. You know, same could be said for DarkZero. So we'll see what we get here. Is DarkZero going to win this out in regulation? Only time will tell. We're going to have NJR back onto the Lion. Good info here to try and assist them with this clear, especially of this top floor, as M80 have dedicated themselves to this vertical strat yet again.
Dedicating themselves to it, but Spoit has been pretty decently counted on the defense. 3 and 10 so far, and on a key operator like Solus, who's meant to find that plant through the floor, meant to deny it entirely. Worked okay for M80, but same exact strat from Canadian. Hops in the same window, has the diffuser, moves into the same room. How are M80 going to account for it? Have they found the hole in this retake? He just drops it inside the site. He's waiting for somebody from M80 to take the fight on that angle, but he doesn't need to. NJR's found 2 big kills, but M80 still equalized. Oh, he's got the right read, but Spoid gets a kill exactly when he needed to. 1000 IQ from Canadian. But just 1 bullet does him in, as now M80 have control of the case down below.
It's looking like potential overtime right now for DarkZero. Do have a player on this top floor trying to sneak through. Rice thinks he hears something over on Spiral, and he would be correct. Iconic's tucked into the tight right here, but he's going to jump down, misses him by a literal millisecond. Gomez still dedicated up here with Spoit, too. It's going to be Spoit first here for Gavini. He should be having some assistance. Rear end from the back end, but it's going to be Rice that takes down Gomez, and all of a sudden, it's just down to Iconic.
It's just down to Iconic. DarkZero don't have the diffuser yet, so Iconic's got to rotate up, then get 2 big gunfights. Rice the only one covering. Rice needs to hit this shot if he wants to end it in regulation. Does he know about Iconic? He baits out the engagement, hits the retake, and takes the L! 7-5 for DarkZero as M80 move down to the lower bracket and recreate a run in Copenhagen that only ended in misery.
Sad result for our M80 fans at home, but if you're a DZ fan, you got to be pretty excited about that one. M80 walking in with their heads held pretty high, pretty confident about this matchup, and they're going to lose it in regulation, especially after having a 3-2. You really expect them to clutch that out on the top floor, but they get thwarted. They get beat, and it's all down to Iconic to try and clutch things up, but it's too difficult, especially up against such a dynamic squad like DarkZero.
And I think the best thing for DarkZero that we saw in that matchup was a lot of the micro adjustments led by Canadian or called by Canadian or by the team overall. I mean, obviously, the addition of the Amaru with that strategy in round 7 to change up that strategy that we've seen in the NAL so far, and M80 likely had tape on. But even then, Canadian pushing up through Garage, able to make a bad situation far better and turn it into a round win. But even in that round, did he end up dying to the Solus? Yeah. But how often do you see such smart play like that? Walk into site, drop the diffuser because you know they're relying on the Solus, and then try and bait out the engagement. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but there's so much IQ, game IQ on this team, it's ridiculous.
He's, especially like you were saying, just highlighting Canadian there, he's so intelligent when it comes to making adjustments and things like that. But, I mean, it has to be said, man, Spoit was definitely missed on M80's side. I think that's a 3-11 game from him, 4-11 game. Just very, very poor, unfortunately.
Well, DarkZero survive another day. M80 0-2 now. We have Canadian on the desk to break it all down.
Lynx and Stokes, thank you so much. That is correct. Mr. Canadian, congratulations. What a fantastic win there. That was so back and forth. Honestly, are you feeling grateful right now? You're in a much better position.
I mean, I guess grateful. Honestly, just, I don't know. I think we've been playing good Siege. Just small mistakes like the G2 game. one less mistake in regulation, we win that, go 2-0 out in groups. And same with the phase game, like one less mistake in regulation. And there was like, in both those games, there was multiple rounds where it was just a small mistake decided the round. So that's just kind of how the game is at this level. Like at the end of the day, I literally can't count how many good teams are here. And that's just what decides the games here, is just these tiny, tiny communication, timing mistakes, and you just can't let those slip.
Certainly tight battles. I do want to tout your leadership. I could hear you. You were staying very calm. It just seemed like such a collective effort today. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think every time we play, we try to play the team game. That's just how we kind of play. I don't think we put too much pressure on any one person's shoulders. We just all have to do our specific job and what we want to do. We all have to contribute, in terms of the communication, in terms of generating ideas, and that's just kind of how it has to be at this level. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you definitely saw it in the scoreboard during this map or this game in general. Everyone was very close in terms of frag potential and everything. Yep. Gavini did run away with it. Leading a little ahead of you guys, but nonetheless, everyone, I mean, that was definitely a team effort. So for you, like, seeing Rice now, this being his, third game on... No. I
think
fourth. Fifth game doing LAN. Are you happy with the performance that he's been doing, or do you think there's still some areas that you guys got to like kind of run him through, teach him a little bit? Like what's kind of what's the info on that?
I think more than anything, it's just like at the end of the day, it's his first LAN is a major.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think kind of having to shake that off. And the thing is there's nothing that can be done to shake that off other than
outside getting reps.
Get reps. Yeah, play some games, play maybe worse than you would like to a couple games, and then you have a good game, and then all of a sudden you feel comfortable
and
again.
You're no stranger to difficult problems and then fixing it and adjusting, doing what you need to do. Another question that I had specifically with these games being so close and them just coming in those small minute details that you were talking about, that's just one little hiccup that didn't happen fixed. Do you then try to fix that going into the next game, or is it just more so it's kind of in those moment situations?
I mean, you kind of have to talk about some of those situations because similar situations could pop up in the map.
Yeah.
You don't dwell on it though, right? Like at the end of the day, you have to play the next round. No one can be emotionally hung up on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
And no one can be perfect. You're going to make mistakes every game.
Definitely.
So yeah, I just think you mention what you have to mention. Next time do this, next time do that. It's all good. Next round.
For sure.
That's it.
For sure.
Canadian, anything that you want to say to the doubters, also to your fans?
I mean, I think there's nothing to say to the doubters. I mean, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I love what I do. I love competing, and it's as simple as that.
How can anyone doubt you? You've been going for as long as you have, and all the accolades that you have. So
at the end of the day, it's going to happen.
That has success.
You can. I mean, you can,
but realistically, you look stupid. You look stupid doing it.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, and then anything to say to the fans?
The fans, just thank you for all the support.
Stop giving them heart attacks.
Like, I mean, I don't know if that's going to stop happening. Honestly. If it wasn't close, I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much. So
no,
I think that's part of what I love about it is the thrill of those close games. So but thank you, the fans, as always. As I play more and more, I continue to get more and more grateful for you guys because I love what I do. I love competing. I love this game. I love being on this team, and you guys allow it to happen for me. So, it means a lot to me, and we appreciate all your support.
What about your skins? Just saying.
Oh, yeah, we got a Finka skin. We got a
Finka
skin. We do have a Finka skin, and Finka is the new ADOP that everyone runs. Buy your Finka skin.
You got to support them.
That's true. That's a great way to
Yeah,
support.
good
But also, I think from the community, we're very grateful for you as well.
I'm grateful for you.
Laxine particularly thankful for you.
I have a picture of you holding two hammers. It was photoshopped.
Yeah.
And I go to bed. It's like the Tachanka, like when he's on the chair. He's the king. Like that's kind of how I got you. Just
you guys
above my
snuggled up.
bedside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And my producer is telling me to wrap it. Thanks, Laxine, for that wonderful
Listen, I love Troy.
insight per usual. And Canadian, thank you so much again. But we have Jesse on deck, and he's going to be breaking down a strat from M80. Take it away.
Yes, Jackie, we had a fantastic match from DarkZero. They win an extremely great game against M80, but it started off a little bit weak for them, and I have one of the most incredible rounds, the most interesting rounds from M80 to showcase you. Now, this is going to be an attack on the top floor bomb site of Consulate, and I just want to showcase and walk you through this attack, understand how it works. So let's start with defender positions. We got Canadian, the man you were just listening to, in the bomb site. He's going to be target number 1. We got Rice just outside of the bomb site, target number 2, equally important. And the other 3 players are a bit farther away. We've got NJR, who's in A site, not where the execute's going to be going down, but close-ish. Then all the way up here, we got Gaveni, who's playing on the shield over by the vending machine. And then way over inside of admin, we got Pambazoo, who he's not going to be super relevant to the most of this push. Over for the attack, on the other hand, we got Kino with the fuse kit playing Amari, ready to jump on in. We got Iconic playing that Finka, which DZ do have a skin for, ready to come up the yellow stairs if needed and contribute to the push. We got Spoit outside of the window, ready to throw in Candelas and make some impact there. Outside the main breach, we got DS, who's playing the Grim, can play those Bs, going to be coming through the single wall breach. And way off in admin, once again, we got Gomez. Don't worry about him too much yet. Now, as we play through, the big thing DarkZero really want to do with this push, they want to execute these 2 players, make sure they're not a problem, and then they want to push on through, divide the map, so that those Eastern players aren't actually going to have any ability to stop this plant from coming through. Let's clear it and watch initially how they do that. The first step is simple. Spoit gets on a drone, very, very shortly, goes on in, doesn't have to drive it far, and he spots Canadian. This bit of intel is exactly what they needed to start the push. Let's clear the screen. What they're going to do with this is, instead of sending Iconic upstairs through yellow like they were initially planning to, they're going to send him downstairs, and he's going to go below the bomb site and nade out Canadian with a frag grenade. Then we're going to see a ton of utility coming through from M80. They're going to spam out these players in the A bomb site with both Candelas and Bs to make sure they can't have any impact. And when we play on through, we'll see that perfectly work out for them. Initially, we see the drone go through. Watch Spoit down at the bottom, throws in his Candelas. Then we see some smoke grenades, some big Yings going through, the Bees coming through as well. And as we push forward here, you'll kind of see what happens. Iconic, he gets that nade in, and Kino jumps in the building. Now, this has gone perfectly to plan so far. At this moment, Kino kind of realizes there's nobody else in the bomb site with Canadian dead. Kino's going to jump in, and he's looking at the Warden. The Warden, he's not looking at Kino because Warden's so focused on all this smoke. Even the Toxic Babes coming through from NJR have gone towards the single breach because they think this is where the pressure's coming in. These are the Candelas, these are the Bees. This is what we have to be worried about. But instead, that's not what they got to be worried about at all. Kino comes on in, grabs the pick onto Rice, wins that gunfight, takes a bunch of damage, but is in a great spot to plant. But then something weird happens. He jumps outside of the building. He was in the plant spot. He could have just gone through. And as we can see, there's nobody else on DarkZero able to deny the plants. But Kino doesn't know that. Kino actually has the information that, listen, there's a minute 17 on the clock. My teammates are, one's died inside the other site. One is still outside the breach, completely caught off by the smoke. One is way off inside of admin, not able to help. And Iconic is below the site. Nobody is actually in a position to help him with this plant. So he's really in the position where, well, I don't know if I can plant. I'm going to jump out. And it's a smart decision. So he gets on out. We see some more frags going through. Keep in mind, Gomez over by admin side. He takes out NJR, who's able to fall in the A bomb site. Again, distracted. Gomez is able to keep on pushing. Keep in mind, Pamba's over there as well. He takes out Pambazoo. And at this point, it's a 1v4. And at this moment, we start to get a little bit sloppy. Kino makes the call to jump in, start planting once again. Not the right call. He still doesn't have teammates here, but he figures it's a 4v1. What's the harm? I'll tell you the harm. The harm is going to be Gomez coming on through. He's got the angle in the Kino. Nobody is stopping him, and he really does play this round well. Coming on through, Gaveni, excuse me, I believe I said Gomez. Gaveni comes through, stops the plant, and now has Diffuse Kit all alone in a power position. He grabs a second kill onto Diaz, and things have gotten a little out of hand. So what do M80 do after this? Well, they slow things down. They recognize, listen, we had an amazing position. We just lost it because we got a little bit too fast. Iconic says, I'm a drone. I'm going to find this guy out. They've still got Gomez all the way up here, who's got 2 separate angles to attack. and they say, let's figure this out. Let's plan this. Let's play a smart 2v1. And after a brief moment of chaos, M80, they get their heads back on their shoulders. They drone out this last player, Gaveni. They work together as a team. They push 2 separate angles, and it's a 3K from Gomez to end out the round. It's beautifully executed by M80. A little bit of sloppiness in the mid-round, but they do clean it up right there at the end. These are the really creative, interesting attacks that win you rounds. Maybe not games in this instance, but still a really impressive attack coming through from M80. Now, folks, we got one more matchup to watch here on the stream for day number 2 of the Swiss stage of the Atlanta Major. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, the final match of the day will begin.